Uh-oh. I do believe I am live. Look at that. Look on my laptop. I am definitely live. That is for sure. Here, let me take a hit of this before I show my head. Wonder who's going to be in here first. I don't know. Which one's quicker? The one in my application? I'll go to chat in here. Let's see who's in here. Holy shit. Holy shit. Look at that. Slide this over here. Howard Clegg. You're the only one. Looking at that head. Would you look at it? Would you just look at it? Isn't it beautiful in a horrific way? A gruesome way? You're grimacing right now, aren't you, Howard Clegg? Because you're the only one seeing my head for the first time tonight. It is fine. That's right, Howard Clegg. Thank you for boosting my self-esteem. Raging Randy is in the bunkhole. Look at that. Sewer Dog the Patriot, 420. Did somebody say 420? Well, we'll get to that in a second. But first, you know what we have to do? We have to go ahead and be patriotic. Are you patriotic, Howard Clegg, tonight, today? I know Raging Cajun Randy is always patriotic. Sewer Dog, the Patriot? Well, fuck, it's in his name. Oh, hell yeah. Well, so am I, so I'm going to go with the, if you're a patriot, you're feeling patriotic. If you're wearing a cover, a salute. If you were in the military. If you're a civilian, take that fucking hat off and put your hand over your heart.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land and the home of the brave.
All right. Very good. Very good. Gary Hill, I know you were loving it. I know you were loving it. Yes, play ball. Did I take, Gary Hill asked, did I take the McDowell County Corrupt Police to the pig pen? Not yet, but I'm going to. I'm hot on the state police's trail. Yes, the West Virginia State Police. Yes. I'm coming after you because you're corrupt. The mainstream media is doing a pretty good, was doing a pretty good, no, they weren't. No, it was all swept under the rug and all of it. And I have more today. You know, all them other states out there that say you have a fucking police problem, an authority overreach problem. Oh, my state's worse than yours. Who has the worst state of the 57 states out there? But anyhow, which state do you think is the worst state when it comes to misused authority by government criminals? You do? Indiana? You think, Sewer Dog, Indiana's bad? Arizona is bad. Arizona is fucked up, man. Arizona is fucked up. Yeah, Colorado, the Mile High State. Yes, it is kind of fucked up, man. Cajun Randy, I kind of figured you'd say Louisiana. Well, I'm telling you, I got a show for you, and it isn't. Let me tell you. Does everybody remember my anal probe show? You know, where I showed all the anal probing going on out there alongside the road, vaginal penetrations by multiple fingers alongside the road. Remember that? The oral cavity search show. Do you remember that? Well, boy, do I have a fucking show for you. And I've been hot on their trail in West Virginia for a long time. McDowell County prosecutor, Ms. Fucking Puckett. Did you notice I spelled it with a PH? Ms. Fucking Puckett. I surmise, and I've lived in multiple states, North Carolina, West Virginia, California. I've lived in multiple states. Yeah, you say the good parts are run by the Cajuns, right, Randy? That's right. That's why you don't have a problem with it. All right. But I'm going to tell you something. When we get to the point, you're going to agree with me. Which state is the worst? But first, let's find out what's happening on the beaches of PP13. Even though we're not in PP13, we're in the living room. I'm going to show you PP13 in full action right now.
There. Go ahead and bring your stuff.
Yeah, can I ask what the problem is?
Alright, so someone called us. We got multiple calls about you.
What?
About something pertaining on the beach.
Yes.
Were you doing something you weren't supposed to be doing?
What?
Like, what were you doing on the beach? Like, prior to coming here? Prior to coming here.
There was nobody. I was just sitting on my tail. Nobody was around me.
Okay, and you were over at the beach?
Like I was near the water.
Near the water?
Yeah.
Okay.
What did I do? What did I do?
So apparently you were masturbating on the beach.
Oh, no.
Who saw that?
I mean, a couple people.
No, they
families.
didn't. That's not true.
Damn.
Nobody was around. Was it an anonymous call? Is this one of my buddies? Okay,
No,
one of my buddies.
No, it's not one of your buddies. It's a family.
Okay, look. Let me show you what I did.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there anything in the bag?
She's clasping
No.
that
'Cause
butt
if I look
visor
through it, I mean,
awfully
if you can
tight.
open it and- Can I see the contents inside the bag?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't really understand what y'all are.
We're just here because someone called and we're very concerned. Okay.
This is really highly offensive to me.
I got it. I got you. And that's why I'm trying to figure it out.
It's my vibrator, but I just put it in my. I was sitting on the beach, and I just. Okay. Do I get a ticket?
So you did have a vibrator.
Listen, I was sitting on the water like this, and I just put it in there, and it was covered up, and I just had an orgasm. I'm sorry, I was stressed out.
I got you. Okay, just hang tight for me.
I'm sorry, nobody saw me. I was in the water. Okay, so if this is anonymous call,
I mean, if nobody saw it, then they wouldn't have called, right?
If nobody saw it.
man, please don't do this to me. Are you serious?
A family saw it. They had kids.
What? There was nobody around me.
So. It's a bullet style. That's what they call it. Oh, Jesus. Knows you going through it. You logging everything. She admitted to it, and she said she had an orgasm on the beach and all that other good mess. So, yeah. All right. Cool. Someone saw it, so that's why we're here. You know. I mean, if you're gonna do something like that, don't get caught. That's all I have to say, So, I mean, I got nothing against you, How you doing, ma'am? I'm Officer Dollars, how you PD. Can we speak to you for a second? We'll get you over there. Go ahead and bring it.
All right. What'd you think about PP-13 there? Arresting a woman for masturbating with a bullet bottle. I mean, no wonder why her beer was so warm. There's a million jokes here, right? Let the tides flow in and out. In and out. That's funny. I mean, I kind of feel for the woman. She was off in a little corner of the beach with her bullet bottle. She just pulled it out and then put it back in. Then pulled it out and put it back in. About 50 times. That's all. Children on the beach. Hell, that's a learning experience for Johnny. Fuck. Dad, what the fuck? Go over there and show Johnny. Look, that's how you do it, son. That's the hole right there. See that little thing that she's got? The bottle? Is the prosecutor getting arrested? Joe Black, good to see you. Israelite Nephite. Okay. Let's watch that again because that was fun. Shall we? I enjoyed myself. I might come up with a couple more. Right?
Yeah, can I ask what the problem is?
All right, so someone called us. We got multiple calls about you. About something pertaining on the beach.
Yes.
Were you doing something you weren't supposed to be doing?
That's a long bottle. Yeah.
What were you doing on the beach? Like, prior to coming here? Prior to coming here.
There was nobody. I was just sitting on my towel. Nobody was around me.
Okay, and you were over at the beach?
Like I was near the water.
Near the water?
Yeah.
Okay.
What did I do?
So apparently you were masturbating on the beach.
Who saw that?
I mean, a couple people.
No, they
families.
didn't. That's not true.
Why would they call us that?
Nobody was around. It was an anonymous call. Is this one of my buddies? Okay,
No.
one of my buddies.
It's a joke. One of my buddies.
It's
It's a
family.
prank.
Okay, look. Let me show you what I did.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there anything in the bag?
No.
Is it all right if I look through it? I mean, if you can open it and can I see the contents inside the bag?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't really understand what y'all are.
Excuse me, ma'am. Do you have anything in that bag that will stick me, poke me, hurt me? Come on, there's a million jokes here. You gotta laugh at this one, right? How close to the beach was she? How close to the shore, the water? Shouldn't have said she did absolutely nothing. That's right. I did not penetrate my vagina, have sex on the beach with myself. And what's the problem? There's a drink named after it. Sex on the beach. I don't know if I have a problem with her doing it. Hey, in today's world, women's lib. You know what I mean? It's empowering to stick it up the hoo-hoo on the beach for all the public to see. Isn't that modern feminism today? Flaunt your shit. I'm independent and free. I can do what the fuck I want to do. I'm a woman. Notice she doesn't have a man, though. I wonder why. Girls just want to have fun. I don't know. She's looking pretty old. I mean, I'm old, but this woman right here, she has to be at least 35, 40. I think she's hot. She's a thick woman with the crucifix going on, right? I mean, I love a religious woman. I love a God-fearing woman. Cross. Look at the boom does, man. You know she's popped out a couple kids in her day. I mean, did you see the handcuffs? Oh, I bet she has a set of her own. Why do you think she didn't object to being put in handcuffs? She's put in handcuffs all the time. Okay.
We're just here because someone called and we're very concerned. Okay.
This is really highly offensive to me.
I got it. I got you. And that's why I'm trying to figure it out.
It's my vibrator, but I just put it in my. I was sitting on the beach, and I just. Okay. Do I get a ticket?
So you did have a vibrator.
No, you get an award. Bravo! Bravo! You don't get a ticket. You get an award. I mean, can you please show us what you did? How you did it?
Listen, I was sitting on the water like this, and I just put it in there, and it was covered up, and I just had an orgasm. I'm sorry. I was stressed out.
I got you. Okay. Just hang tight for me.
I'm sorry. Nobody saw me. I was in the water.
You know what? I don't blame her. I masturbate all the time to relieve stress. Look at that palm. Look how chafed it is. Yes, I am right-handed. Hey, I'm an adult. I admit it. Everybody fucking beats off, or, you know what I'm saying. Let's be real. It's not like it's abnormal for people to fucking have sex with themselves, too. What do you think I got Rubicop for? Which we're going to get to in a second.
Okay, so if this is anonymous call,
I mean, if nobody saw it, then they wouldn't have called, right?
If nobody saw it.
man, please don't do this to me. Are you serious?
Put your other hand.
A family saw it. They had kids.
What? There
That's why they
was
called.
nobody around me.
So it's a bullet style. That's what they call it.
All right.
I'll sign up to the office.
That's enough of that. Okay. Madam, whatever your name is. Oh, shit. Let me put that back up there. Madam, whatever your name is, may I suggest, instead of getting your jollies off on the beach, with sex on the beach, buy this product. Are you feeling frisky?
What's this right here? That's your penis. All right.
Do you want to feel like you just got done being groped by a cop?
What's this right here? What's this right here? That's your penis. All right.
Well, does Tugga Inc. have a cocky companion for you? Rubbercop at patmedown.com. He is as aggressive or passive as you like. Inspect Rubbercop at patmedown.com. The pursuit is over for that belligerent Sally you've been chasing after. Inspect Rubbercop at patmedown.com. Detain your very own personal police shakedown dummy today. Never fear again a long prison term. Don't jerk yourself around. Get yourself a rubber cup at patmedown.com. Discover a feisty new comrade to serve long periods of time with. Inspect Rubber Cup at patmedown.com. All accessories are not included. Rubber Cup. Phil, a satisfied customer of California, says he's tired of being run through by the penal code. When he travels, he takes Rubber Cup to ride in the passenger seat to access the HOV lane.
Oh, please, don't shoot me. Oh, please, my hands are up. Oh, please, don't shoot me, please. Oh, you shot me.
Inspect Rubbercop at patmedown.com.
Yes, I love you.
Rubbercop, that's what she should have get. That's what she needs to get. You know, long prison terms. Avoid them long prison terms, like the commercial said. Inspect Rubbercop, ma'am, and you will not get arrested for masturbating on the beach. Hey, that's all I got to say. Now we have to go to our next sponsors, but every time I play the Bakelite Boys, I get an infestation. But we'll deal with it. Here we go. The Bakelite Boys, another sponsor. Got to make the money.
Bada boom.
Man, if only that were true.
When you're sad and lonely, have no place to go, call me up, sweet mama. We'll go stepping out. We'll go honky tonkin', honky tonkin', honky tonkin', baby.
Oh, here comes the squirrels.
Around this town.
The dancing family of squirrels. They just keep coming and coming. We love the Bakelite Boys.
When you and baby have a falling out.
I mean, even Alex the monkey likes the Bakelite Boys. What's next? The fucking rats. Oh, shit. Now the mice are liking the Bakelite Boys, too.
We'll go home, tonkin' round this town. Here we go. Dance that chicken much. We're going to the city fair. You go to the city, honey, you gon' find me there. We'll go honky tonkin', honky tonkin', honky tonkin',
We'll go honky tonk round this town.
Come on, y'all. Y'all get out there and honky tonk a little bit yourself.
And we'll go honky tonkin', honky tonkin', baby. We'll go honky tonkin' round this town.
That was the Bacon Lake Boys sponsors. Okay, go away, shoo, you critters, you creatures, you varmints. And stop shitting on my floor. The mopping fish is getting pissed off at you every night. Because you dance and you shit. And then you dance some more and you shit. And Alex the monkey ain't happy with the dancing mouse on his head either. So shoo, varmints, shoo. All right. See you later. Yeah, bye. Okay. Now, let's see. Anybody? Creole. Good to see you, Creole, Joe Black. And we are heading to see our buddy down there in the deepest cavern, the safest room, the horticulture room. Hot dog, I'm here to greet you. In Peg's Place. Yes. We call this place Peg's Place because it's always 420 in Australia, in Peg's Place, yes. So Creole, you're going to need to get your moonshine ready. Joe Black, you're going to need to roll that fat doobie. It's because the show is going to come to a very quick turn of environment, I guess you could say. Because it is not going to get any better from here. So you better go ahead and poke it, smoke it, drink it, guzzle it, slurp it, sip it. Don't inject it. Don't ever inject anything in your body. It's just nasty, okay? Ingest. Don't inject. And this is a two-bagger. This is definitely a two-bag show. Both full bags. Puff. And I'm sorry to hear your cousin is giving up the weed. Yes. He's given up the weed, your cousin, Snoop Dogg. Puff. No. Your cousin is giving up weed forever. That's what I hear through the grapevine or through the weed vine. Yeah. So go ahead. Just like I am. Yep. Yep. Always have the moonshine close by. McDowell County, Southern West Virginia. What the fuck's the matter with you people down there? I'm telling you. So right now, you better enjoy it. You better enjoy the drink. You better enjoy the smoke. Because you're going to puke it all up here in a minute. So you better get it in there and start feeling fine now. Just telling you. Just telling you. Yes, pass. Puff, puff, pass. Always to the left. It's weed smoking etiquette 101. Yeah. What's that?
Shut the fuck up, right? There's a dog on the bus, right? And the dog's terrified. So stay in my way, right? The next person who screams, I'll set the dog on, right? Shut the fuck up. Shut up,
Would
what?
you ladies shut the fuck up? You're scaring my dog. Damn. Why do they always have to do things in unison? Cheerleaders, synchronized swimming, dancing. It's like a late meeting in the ladies' room. Boom, boom, boom. I'll be right back real soon. Pump, pump, pump. Damn, Buff. That is some really good shit. Even Charles is dancing. Well, yeah, hey, Israelite. Politics, man. I'm all about politics, man. I do love a good political conversation, but not here. Not now. Maybe later. But right now, I'm meeting and greeting and getting people ready for the worst place on the planet. EP13. Pull your boots up, bootstraps up. Tuck your pant legs in them. Tie your bootstraps. Because you're going to step in that puddle, Israelite. That sludge right there. Watch it. Oh, Israelite, you stepped right in it. It's toxic. And you will never fully recover from it. Let me slide over in a chair here. You'll never fully recover from that tunnel experience if you didn't know, and that's the first time you've been through that tunnel, so, you know. Next time you'll know. We are in PP13. Let's bring up the logo. Where's the logo? PP13. Okay, I got to slide this over here just to get to this folder. All right. So, we are in PP13, the most disgusting place on the planet. Steve is here. Hi, Steve. Good to see you, Steve. Dweeb, I see you're still in prison. I still see that you're still in jail. And it's horrible out there. The bars. Barry watching guard. And guess what? As fast as the doors open, as fast as they open, they close. Them gates. Clang. Prisons. McDowell County. Are you hearing me? What the fuck is wrong with your prison system down there? I was near a couple prisons not too long ago, and I just posted both of them videos, or with the one video that I finally got back. And it was a video of a good jail compared to the ones that I was investigating the day of. Do you remember Ricky Bobby Sue Jones asking me a whole bunch of fucking questions? Like give me your ID, or asking for my ID first? And I told him that I was investigating this prison right now, this jail right here. And then I'm an investigative journalist, the press, investigating. Now, Miss Fuck it, Puckett, are you listening to me, Miss Fuck it, Puckett? I have a constitutional right to report, to investigate, to disseminate that corruption, if I catch it, to the public. You are prosecuting me for trespassing while alongside the road, while a member of the press is being arrested. So keep this in mind. Nat, how are you doing? We can vote Steve for governor. Correct. I agree. Very good, Joe Black. All right. So do we all remember the chair of...
Don't get the fuck off my head, Captain. I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
Well, you know you're all done playing games?
I'm done. I'm done.
Huh?
I'm done.
You done making demands?
Captain, can you please keep that off? Captain, I can't breathe.
Yes, you can. If you're talking, you're yelling, you're making demands, you're breathing. All right? So as soon as you're calm enough and we feel you're safe, the nurse is going to see you. They're going to decontaminate you. They're going to dress your wounds. All right? We're going to have mental health down here to see you. All right? And
Please pull this off, somebody, please.
you're talking, you're breathing. Keep talking. Calm yourself down.
Captain, I can't do it because this is full of maze.
No, it's not full of mace. It's a new one. It's brand new. It's brand new. You know, if you took the time to work with us instead of making excuses,
You're right.
being defiant, you'd be out of the situation you're in right now. This is all on you.
This is all on you, buddy. That was bear spray. A full canister. A big canister. That was riot spray, is what it was. It wasn't just a little mist of pepper spray, a little bit of granules of pepper in there. No, that was riot canister. Right in that, right in the guy's face. It's a foam. Didn't you see it? Orange foam. That was torture. It sure was. Let's check this guy out.
In this case, you don't think
known that there was a problem there.
Tonight, Loudoun County Sheriff Mike Chapman defending his team, saying deputies had no desire to hurt an inmate when he was placed restrained.
so in this case, you don't think this could have been prevented?
No, we wouldn't have known. We wouldn't have known that there was a problem there.
Tonight, Loudoun County Sheriff Mike Chapman defending his team, saying deputies had no desire to hurt an inmate when he was placed restrained under this extremely hot shower.
No, please! Please, no!
The chair?
Inmate Richard Pyland is now suing the sheriff and the deputy who put him there more than a year since the incident. The $7 million lawsuit says Pyland suffered first and second degree burns to his arm after being soaked for 45 seconds. The sheriff claims the mechanical system regulating the water temperature failed, exceeding temperatures past the 110-degree maximum. It automatically stays on for 30 seconds.
Our deputies have no access to turn the water off once it's on. So
Should they have been checked more periodically?
that's something you'd have to check with General Services on. I really don't know. We assume that these things are working properly and functioning properly. In this particular case, it was not.
We've reached out to the General Services Department for comment, but have not heard back. The sheriff's office says the shower has since been fixed.
I need you to turn around and cuff up.
Deputies were trying to move Pyland from his cell after he covered the window with toothpaste. They pepper sprayed the cell when he refused to put his hands out for handcuffs. Once he complied, they handcuffed and strapped him to a chair. The sheriff claims Pyland first resisted going to a different shower so he could wash off the spray. The day of the incident, a deputy could be heard saying,
I'm not really sure which one's which, so good luck to you.
I really don't know what he meant by that comment.
I feel like they were torturing my son. We're just not going to tolerate this, you know. And as a citizen, none of us should tolerate it.
Pyland's father didn't watch the body cam footage shared by the attorney. He says his son, who's been in jail for more than 2 years for a sexual assault case, suffers from mental health issues. He claims other inmates have been hurt by hot showers, an allegation the sheriff denies.
People have come forward and reached out to us a number of different ways. My understanding is that this isn't the first time somebody's been burned in that shower.
Officials say that shower was not used by inmates on a regular basis. It's located in the medical ward of this jail. jail. We are learning tonight that inmate has now been transferred to a new jail further south in Virginia, about 3.5 hours away. In Leesburg, Matthew Torres, WUSA 9.
So in this case, you don't think this could have been prevented?
No, we wouldn't have known. We wouldn't have known that there was a problem there.
Tonight, Loudoun County Sheriff Mike Chapman defending his team, saying deputies had no desire to hurt an inmate when he was placed restrained under this extremely hot shower.
No, please! Please, no!
Inmate Richard Pyland is now suing the sheriff and the deputy who put him there more than a year since the incident. The $7 million lawsuit says Pyland suffered first and second-degree burns to his arm after being soaked for 45 seconds.
Burns!
The sheriff claims the mechanical system regulating the water temperature failed, exceeding temperatures past the 110-degree maximum. It automatically stays on for 30 seconds.
Our deputies.
The chair of doom. Right? The sheriff couldn't imagine how that would happen. 50-50 chance. Hot, cold. 50-50 chance that you're going to get scorched or if you're going to get your balls frozen. I'd rather be frozen than my balls being boiled. Now, a while back, when I first aired the chair of doom, people, one person said, that happened so long ago. That was a long time ago. Okay? And we get these kinds of excuses from these kinds of people all the fucking time. They compartmentalize things and then try to throw it out as, a broader context. When all at the same time they're accusing you of using the chair of doom in a broader context of the whole system. I surmise that my chair of doom is the right side. This happens all the fucking time, all over the country. So I asked earlier, what state do you think is the worst for abusing people? For being the worst authority abusers out there? Some people say Colorado, Texas, Arizona, MSCM11. Good to see you, my brother. I'm getting to it. My brother. Now, I've lived in many states, like I said. Steve has lived in many states, too. And Steve is in agreement with me. But I'll let you decide. MS11, I'll just call you MS11 instead of MSCMC 11. I'll just call you MS11. You say West Virginia. I lived in West Virginia. While we're watching these videos, go ahead and name what state you think is worse. All right? We are in PP13 after all. So here we go. Steve, get off the camera. Dweeb, get off the camera. I'll get me off the camera. And here we go. Seven years ago.
Tonight, an Eyewitness News investigation. Are West Virginia regional jails subjecting inmates to excessive force and cruel and unusual punishment?
Eyewitness News reporter Leslie Rubin has uncovered stunning video and some new information that paints a disturbing picture of what's really going on inside our regional jails. Leslie.
Rick, we've learned that a group within West Virginia regional jails known as SRT, or Special Response Team, is the subject of dozens of lawsuits by inmates, all with similar stories of being shot with projectiles, tased, and even seriously burned from exploding grenades. So we started our own investigation, and what we found out may be considered disturbing to some viewers.
An ordinary day for these inmates playing cards at the Southern Regional Jail. You can't hear what's about to happen, but Barry Yearout says he will never forget what it sounded like.
The screaming, the shots, the grenades going off, it was something.
That's him, and to this day, he doesn't know why he was shot.
I was on the ground with my hands behind my head like this, on my belly, feet out, just face down, next to when I looked to see what was going on, and all you can hear was a bunch of yelling and commotion and gunshots.
This video, obtained exclusively by Eyewitness News, shows what's come to be known as the Shakedown in May 2014. The actions here by the Regional Jail's Special Response Team, dressed head to toe in riot gear and armed with grenades, beanbag guns, and tasers, have come under fire by inmates who say they use excessive force, cruel and unusual punishment for no reason.
There was no excuse for what happened.
Yearout was serving time for a third offense DUI. He is just one of more than a dozen inmates who are suing the West Virginia Regional Jail Authority and specific members of the SRT.
The 16-member team formed in January 2014 is deployed to search for contraband, perform cell extractions, and maintain or restore facility security. We repeatedly asked regional jail officials to comment on this story, but they refused, citing pending litigation.
Would you consider it cruel and unusual punishment?
Definitely. The SRT team, what they did to me and those other inmates was uncalled for.
Yearout isn't alone. During the SRT operation at Southern Regional, Michael Harshaw was shot twice with beanbag rounds from a 12-gauge shotgun and tased while inside his cell. Incident reports obtained by Eyewitness News through the Freedom of Information Act say that Harshaw did not comply with orders to show his hands. The reports indicate the SRT made the tactical entry because the inmates wouldn't lock down. But Yearout says they were never told to do so.
Were they telling you to do something that you weren't doing?
No, ma'am. There was no notice whatsoever. There is always one or two COs that come in and make sure you're locked down. They make sure every door is secure and is not open. Every time.
But it isn't just that one SRT operation that's caused controversy. This is what Shane Markham looked like following having a flashbang and stinger grenade thrown through the food tray slot of his cell at Western Regional Jail in February 2015. A jail nurse noted he had charred black skin on his shoulder, arm, and abdomen. His hair was singed and he had abrasions on the back of his neck. Incident reports say that operation was conducted in order to move Markham to another jail following a fight with a corrections officer. Video of that operation exists, but the jail authority has fought to keep it from being made public. Canal Circuit Court Judge Joanna Tabbitt recently ruled that it was not exempt from the state's Freedom of Information Act after jail lawyers argued it could be used by inmates to form an escape. They have since appealed the judge's ruling, and it's now up to the state Supreme Court whether the public will ever see that video.
Everyone needs a voice, and they need advocacy when their rights and when their civil rights have been trampled upon. And I think we are seeing a lot of need for advocacy for inmates in the state of West Virginia right now.
Mountain State Justice lawyer Aaron Moss, who has represented inmates in similar cases, says in many instances there's just no effort to stop the use of force from ultimately being used.
We need to view these people as people. They're people with the exact same constitutional rights that we enjoy as free members of society, and those rights need to be upheld.
According to a Special Operations Board review report marked confidential, the Special Response Team was deployed at Southern Regional because of 39 assaults on inmates and staff, 27 fights among inmates, and 8 instances of inmates possessing weapons from January to May of 2014, saying the deployment of the SRT was necessary in order to reestablish control of the jail and to ensure the safety of the staff, inmates, and ultimately the public. But deposition testimony from the two highest-ranking members at Southern Regional shows that both agreed the actions they saw on the video were inappropriate and questionable.
There's bad people in there. You got murderers and baby rapists, and it's still inhumane, any way you look at it.
On top of the shakedown, they treated these individuals entirely inappropriately, with malice. It was awful what they did.
That's year-out's lawyer, Paul Strobel, who's also representing Markham and Harshaw. They point out that the inmates had every possession in their cell removed and trashed. Court papers, personal items, even toilet paper and mattresses.
We slept on the concrete for 2 days. Our pod did. There were several pods that went 3 or 4 days without.
Year-Out says that only led to more problems. Just days after the SRT came through to make the jail safer, 51-year-old Carlos McMillian was killed by another inmate. Court testimony revealing that deadly argument sparked by a fight over a mattress.
We have asked for comment on this story and about SRT from regional jail officials multiple times over the last several weeks. Just about an hour before this story was aired tonight, a communications director for the state tells us that Executive Director David Farmer, who took over last spring, eliminated the SRT program within a month of his appointment. He says its policies no longer exist. Quote, he has also implemented a new policy that requires the prompt reporting and close scrutiny of all use of force incidents. The release went on to say they call the video we just showed you a, quote, incomplete, out of context depiction of a lockdown and sweep of a regional jail. We can tell you tonight that several members of SRT are no longer employed with the Regional Jail Authority. Reporting live in the studio, Leslie Rubin, Eyewitness News.
Yes.
Tonight, an Eyewitness News investigation.
Thank you, Leslie. Thank you, Leslie. Okay. That was Southern Regional Jail, Beckley, West by God, Virginia. Pretty brutal, right? Chuck Derby, Semper Fi, brother, and California. He's saying California is the worst. Is the worst authority, abuse of authority, the worst state of the 57 states that we have. And they're brutal. They're much more brutal than that. Can you give me an example, Chuck Derby? Because I'm about ready to show you something else. Southern Regional Jail, Beckley, West Virginia. Where is Beckley, West Virginia? Beckley, West Virginia is about 20 or 30 miles, give or take, north of McDowell County, West Virginia. McDowell County. Are you listening to me? Ms. Bucket Puckett? What would a journalist, what would a member of the press, what would a person that had a brother die in prison at 34 years old be doing? Filming a prison. Can you answer that? Miss Bucket Puckett, do you want to go any deeper with this? Because whenever this breaks and it goes, whenever this breaks in a civil court, everything that I have said, the investigations that I've been involved in, play a part. And your trooper, Ricky Bobby Sue Jones, fucked up. Big time. So why would I be down there? I mean, it can't be that fucking bad, can it? No, that was only 7 years ago. This
massive manhunt for an escaped inmate who we are now learning was on the run for nearly 2 days before police were notified.
Yeah, and in a bizarre twist, an attorney is now coming forward to say he alerted jail guards about the breakout the day it happened. ABC's Eva Pilgrim is here with the story.
A West Virginia inmate gone for almost 2 days before authorities realize he's missing. Todd Boys finally captured. U.S. Marshals catching up to Boys more than 1,400 miles away in Laredo, Texas.
There clearly is some significant breach in security at this regional jail. If not inside help, then at least big-time incompetence.
Security images show Boys Wednesday morning at about 6, not in his orange jumpsuit, but in khaki pants and a dark pullover, casually walking out of this Charleston, West Virginia jail. Despite multiple head counts, officials say jail staff didn't notice he was missing until 7 Thursday night. 37 hours later. Jail staff apparently knew sooner than that. This lawyer says he alerted jail officials himself Wednesday afternoon after his client, another inmate at the jail, told him about the escape.
It was one of those situations where I had to let the jail know that somebody had escaped from Charlie 5 and apparently did nothing.
Boys was supposed to be in court Friday morning, facing 3 to 20 years for a carjacking and police chase from last year. Todd Boys was captured in Laredo 4 days after his daring escape.
And the prison facing some tough questions this morning. The state releasing a statement overnight saying the escape is under investigation. So far, 4 prison guards have been suspended without pay.
As you say, tough questions. Eva, thank you. Appreciate it.
Hi. Thank you. An alleged fight between inmates at Southern Regional
What about
Jail
this one?
reportedly turned deadly on February 16th.
Another one.
Now the victim's mother and
4
sister are reflecting on a day
years
they called a living
ago.
nightmare.
4.
We sat down with 59 News reporter Regina Gonzalez, who tells us more.
Kevin Whitaker grew up in Princeton. He was a son to his mother, Tammy Saunders, a brother to his sister, Sadie Keener, a father of 2 children, and had a passion for tattoo art.
He was a tattoo artist, and he had been for many years. He used to have a business here in Princeton, Son of a Gun, and then he left to travel, and then he moved back here about 6 years ago.
As his family stresses, Kevin was also human and made mistakes. Whitaker was taken to Southern Regional Jail on Friday, February 15th after being arrested in Mercer County on a bench warrant for missing court over prior DUI charges. He would be there less than 2 days before Sadie's husband got a devastating phone call.
He got off the phone and I looked at him. I was like, say it. Just tell me, say it. And he's like, I don't know how to say it. And he said it. He's like, there's been an incident. Your brother's gone. And I'm like, gone where?
According to court records, 3 men, Anthony Johnson, Dallas Lawson, and Thomas Jones, allegedly entered Kevin's cell with the intent to beat him up.
Kevin was in his bunk asleep, and the guys come in and jerked him out and immediately began beating on him. He hit his panic button. And they said it took 4 minutes from the video that they seen. It took 4 minutes, and the guys were out of the cell.
The criminal complaint also states after the men left, Whitaker was crying, claiming he was having trouble breathing and bleeding from his mouth and eye with a large knot on his head. Court records allege 1.5 hours later, correctional officers were notified by Mr. Whitaker that he needed to go to the hospital. While waiting for EMS, Whitaker lost consciousness and was unresponsive. He was later pronounced dead at Appalachian Regional Hospital.
You never think it's gonna end like that, you know.
His family is now left wondering why, and if anything could have been done differently that night.
Right now, at this point, we have more questions than we have answers.
In September, the 3 alleged attackers, as well as 2 more men, Eugene Lane and Galen Stewart, were indicted on first-degree murder and conspiracy charges. They were arraigned on October 1st. Reporting in Raleigh County, Regina Gonzalez, 59 News.
All right.
And we did reach out to a spokesperson for the West Virginia Department of Military Affairs and Public Safety, who stated, quote, the incident occurred before the section was locked down so inmates could move about. We are adamant that an officer and additional staff responded immediately when alerted. There was no delay. Raleigh County Attorney Brian Parsons, who is handling this case, says hearings will be set for January.
All right. What is this? What is this up here? It says West Virginia Department of Military Affairs and Public Safety. What the fuck does that mean? Hi, John D. Nicola. Good to see you, brother. What the fuck does military affairs have to do with public safety? I thought the military was for, like, blowing fucking enemies up in foreign lands, right? And you say your state is bad. Whose state is worse? Give me one state that you think is the worst of the worst. Anybody, everybody. I want to see. Please tell me. Who? Which state has a military affairs that's tied with the public safety? But I'll tell you why. Okay, let me say something about this video too. 3 guys bum rush 1 guy in a cell. It takes a long time for the guards to show up. That right there is a guard-sanctioned fucking thumping. The guards are in on the action, if you know what I mean. You don't have this 7 years ago, 6 years ago, 4 years ago. I'm working my way down. I'm working my way down there, MC11. The Tribe, good to see you. What other state has a military affairs tied with public safety? That's what I want to know, first off. And it'll be shown why it's tied together. I'll show you. McDowell County, Miss Fucking Puckett, are you listening to me? Could I have had a really legitimate reason for being down there as the press? Let me think. In McDowell County, near Beckley, Bluefield. John Bryan talks about these southern counties all the fucking time. Could it be that an independent journalist who had a brother die in a prison be interested in something like that to report on so that it doesn't happen again? Maybe, huh? Trooper Jones? Okay, 1 year ago.
On May 7th, William Dustin Bowen was booked into Southern Regional Jail on a domestic battery charge, according to his family's attorney. Beckley attorney Robert Dunlap says Bowen was having an acute schizophrenic episode and needed immediate short-term treatment. Instead of going to a mental health facility, he was taken to jail. Dunlap alleges Prime Care and Wexford Health Sources, the private health companies the state contracted to provide care for those incarcerated, both failed to adequately treat Bowen's schizophrenia. He says the jail then released Bowen, who wasn't familiar with West Virginia and who had no money or medication as far as his family knows.
The Southern Regional Jail has a policy of whatever you happen to be wearing, whether it's 3 in the morning and you're in your pajamas, or what the weather happens to be at the time of your release, you leave the Southern Regional Jail for that quarter-mile walk to the convenience store at the end of the road.
Bowen was last seen entering a dark SUV at the flat-top gas station Dunlap mentioned. On August 2nd, Raleigh Sheriff's Office found Bowen's body in a remote area around rural Tommy Creek Road. The state medical examiner's office hasn't ruled on cause and manner of death, but police say they don't suspect foul play. But Dunlap says hundreds of people report they were beaten by staff or other inmates inside the jail. He says Bowen's body was in the elements for a month and showed multiple broken bones.
Whenever you couple that with all of the other claims of persons who haven't received adequate medical treatment after severe beatings, we have to piece together what happened to this young man. And I invite the regional jail and their staff to instead provide a narrative of what really did happen.
Reporting in Raleigh County, Jessica Farish, 59 News.
All right, what do you think happened to that guy? He slipped on a bar of soap in the shower, and then he was released. How nice of them. He didn't know West Virginia, schizophrenic, didn't have his medication. I think somebody thumped him, of course. and they dumped him. It's called a thump and dump. You understand? We have nothing to do with it. He was released. Look, we have his signature. What state? Missouri? Did you say Missouri? John D. Nicola, you think Missouri is worse? I'm working down the time frame. The timeline, this is about the time that I come into it. Maybe a little bit before, a year ago. It's been almost 2 years. Counselor McDowell, Ms. Fuckett Puckett, Trooper Ricky Bobby Sue Jones. It's been almost 2 years. I'm coming back down to continue my trial, and I can't wait. I'm chomping at the bits to get the Willis. I'm chomping at the bits to get the Looney. And I'm really wanting to cross-examine Ricky Bobby Sue. So, you think that's bad? We're only at a year away. Last year, 1 year ago, 1 year ago. That was reported on. Okay, here we go.
Jail overdose over the weekend.
As Eyewitness News reporter Bob Aaron explains, 7 inmates had to be rushed to hospitals.
Sunday, according to a statement released by Governor Jim Justice's administration, 7 inmates at the Southern Regional Jail gave the appearance of experiencing a drug overdose. Eyewitness News has learned there were 5 women and 2 men, all inmates, transported and treated in a hospital. The statement says there were no deaths and that the inmates are now back behind bars. The incident is under investigation by the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation's Criminal Investigation Division and the West Virginia State Police. They were suspected but not confirmed of being fentanyl overdoses. The family of Ayla Plumley indicated she was one of the inmates taken to the hospital.
Sir, I was in total shock because the last words I said to her father last night as we were talking, we don't have to worry about Ayla tonight. She's in jail and she won't have access to drugs.
Male and female inmates are housed separately, but the apparent overdoses involve both. A federal civil rights lawsuit has been filed against the Southern Regional Jail on behalf of current and former inmates who have described conditions at the facility as inhuman. West Virginia jails and prisons have a huge staffing problem. Currently, 1/3 of the uniformed officer positions are vacant. The West Virginia National Guard has been covering positions that require no direct inmate contact. Justice Administration officials turned down our request for an on-camera interview regarding the ongoing investigation into the jail overdoses. In Raleigh County, Bob Aaron, Eyewitness News.
Now, back in April, West Virginia Governor Jim Justice said an investigation found no basis to allegations that inmates at the Southern Regional Jail were being deprived of water, toilet paper, and had to sleep on hard floors.
Tonight, an Eyewitness News investigation.
You think your state's bad, huh? 2 different deaths, 2 different genders, 2 different parts of the prison. What the fuck does that tell you? 1 mule? That's what it tells you. Was it one of the service members that was bringing it in? But they're non-prisoner. They don't have any contact with the prisoners, no. None of these military people that are housing American citizens or the mules. No. The military in the United States having a function of housing prisoners in the United States beckons to political prisons. Is the Southern Regional County fucking Jail, Guantanamo fucking Bay? What the fuck country allows a state to use the military in any fucking capacity to house American criminal prisoners, alleged criminal prisoners? And you say your state's worse? Oh, I beckon to disagree. But if you could prove me any otherwise, I mean, I've seen Arizona. Arizona's bad, man. Colorado, it's pretty bad. California, gruesome, man. But the West Virginia State Police is a thug organization without a head. They're rogue. They're all at the beck and control of a higher authority, I believe. They're all bought and paid for, just like justice. Covering all kind of shit up. But the good governor said, there's nothing wrong. No, it's been fully investigated. Really? Okay. I'm going to show you more proof. It's just going to have to be more proof. That's all.
Well, 13 inmates' deaths in about a year at a jail near Beckley is pushing a national activist group and the families of 2 dead inmates to demand a sweeping federal probe of West Virginia's lockups.
Eyewitness News reporter Bob Aaron says the Poor People's Campaign describes the Southern Regional Jail's problems as a crisis.
For 13 inmates in about a year, the Southern Regional Jail was a dead end. Thursday saw the Poor People's Campaign and families of 2 inmates who died under unusual circumstances call for a sweeping federal probe of West Virginia's jails. Families of Quantez Burks and Alvis Shrewsbury, 2 men who died at SRJ, want answers. So does Bishop William Barber, Poor People's Campaign National Co-Chair.
And an arrest or even a sentence is not a death sentence. And we are going to demand that all persons, as our Constitution says, have equal protection under the law.
Burke's mother says the state claims he died last March from hypertensive cardiovascular disease. She says a private autopsy indicates he didn't get there naturally.
Findings were consistent with being handcuffed while being beaten. Both of his wrists were broken. He had an arm broken, nose broken, and a leg bone broken. He also had blunt force trauma to his whole body, including his head. He also had a heart attack.
The numbers themselves do not look good. Some 13 deaths in about a year here at the Southern Regional Jail near Beckley.
We're not going to let the memory of our son and our fiance, of our father and our husband, to just be pushed off the scene as though their lives didn't matter and as though it is okay for you to go to jail and just die.
While there may not be a sweeping federal probe, there is some involvement already. Corrections and Homeland Security declined comment, saying the FBI requested they not speak. In Raleigh County, Bob Aaron, Eyewitness News.
All right, thank you, Bob. And the group has planned a demonstration March 10th in Charleston to make its point.
Tonight, an Eyewitness News investigation. Our West Virginia Regional Jail.
All right. Yes, I see you, Joe Black. You said, hey, what about the LASD gangs? Yes, they're brutal, man. They are fucking brutal out there in California. But let's adjust for population, shall we? Let's adjust for demographic. Let's adjust for terrain, length of territory. This place in this West Virginia is right smack dab. It's a little fucking hole. Right smack dab in the heart of fucking America, if you look at it. Right at the fucking heart. There's more federal activity in West Virginia than I have ever seen in my life in any other state. Everybody is a deputized federal marshal down there. That's how Bobby Jones, or Bobby Elbon, I have a lot of Bobbies in my life, can get away with what he gets away with. Because Nuts, Deputy Nuts, could have been a marshal. Probably was. Deputized. So he's serving two functions. West Virginia's bad. Real bad. So what can a person, independent journalist, be wanting to do in West Virginia? Well, this is 8 months ago.
Doug, more disturbing allegations out of conditions and multiple deaths at the Southern Regional Jail.
Yeah, Eyewitness News reporter Bob Aaron says attorneys for inmates and their families allege a possible cover-up at the jail that's seen 14 deaths in less than 2 years.
The credibility problems hitting state police have left the door open for challenges to how the state runs its jails and prisons. But lawyers for inmates and the families of dead inmates trying to pursue a class action lawsuit over conditions and conduct at the Southern Regional Jail note their problems predate the current publicity.
Look at all them.
We know for a fact that higher-ups in the...
Now, what I want you to notice, the diversity of the people. Government doesn't give a fuck if you're black or white. They're the only ones allowed to ask you if you're black or white on papers and forms. Nobody else is allowed to do that. They are. But notice the diversity of people that are being completely fucking tortured and murdered. They're family members. These aren't all black people. These aren't all white people. They don't care. Only time they care is whenever they could separate you by it. But they sure the fuck are beating the fuck out of you all the same. Everybody. Indiscriminate violence they perpetuate on people. While we're fucking worrying about race and gender and all this stupid shit. So, let me go back to get the full context of this. Just notice the people coming in this room. It's sad. It's fucking sad.
But lawyers for inmates and the families of dead inmates trying to pursue a class action lawsuit over conditions and conduct at the Southern Regional Jail note their problems predate the current publicity.
We know for a fact that higher-ups in the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation bribed inmates for favorable statements during the sham investigation that was done last year by the Department of Homeland Security.
The 14 inmate deaths had already drawn a lot of attention to the Southern Regional Jail. Now lawyers for some of the inmates' families are alleging that there may have been a cover-up. The state denies there's been a cover-up.
So we do acknowledge there have been instances of misconduct in some of our correctional institutions, and in fact, Secretary Sandy may be able to detail, we've been cooperating with federal authorities to make sure any of those people that have engaged in wrongdoing are held accountable.
I have zero faith in the Department of Homeland Security and whatever investigation findings or conclusions that it may arrive at.
That all deaths within our West Virginia prisons and jails are investigated internally by our Criminal Investigation Division and also, more importantly, the West Virginia State Police. And when there appears to be a human rights violation, that is forwarded to the federal authorities.
New ones, all new autopsies after private ones showed very different results than the state medical examiner in 2 SRJ deaths. In Beckley, Bob Aaron, Eyewitness News.
Bob, thank you. And we've reached out multiple times to the U.S. Attorney's Office in Charleston for comment and confirmation on their investigation. We're told they are working on a response.
Tonight, an Eyewitness News investigation.
14 people dead in a year in one jail. Guantanamo Bay doesn't have that many deaths. Our worst enemies are killed at a much less percentage. And this is one little fucking small fucking place in the heart of the southern part of West Virginia. And you wonder why, whenever I was being handcuffed by Lieutenant Cale, I was worried, man. I had justification to be begging the man to make sure that I'm all right. You know, Cale, you and I have been pretty cool, right? Just make sure that they don't beat me the fuck up tonight, okay? Oh, that ain't gonna happen. It didn't. But I think that they realized that there were cameras, that I had a platform. So they were extra careful not to fuck with me while I was in there. We all slept on the fucking floor. I didn't sleep on the floor. They all slept on the floor. I took the fucking bench. Nice corner, too, so I could prop my head up against the corner like a pillow. My mattress. Everybody got a mattress. So, you wonder why. I was in Welsh, McDowell County, filming jails and prisons that day. Ms. Fucket Puckett. Do you think I had a cause and a reason to be there? Well, let's find out. This was 8 months ago.
It's happened again. An inmate dies at the South Central Regional Jail.
This comes after West Virginia was targeted by a national and state activist group protesting the alarming number of jail deaths. Bob Aaron tells us is digging into it.
Corrections officials say a jail Kanawha County man was found dead Sunday morning by an apparent self-inflicted injury in his cell at the South Central Regional Jail. The family of 47-year-old William Samples is already challenging that his death was a suicide and the system that locked him up for failure to pay child support. Both his sister Victoria and his mother Sandra say he was terrified because of threats from other inmates. Samples was found dead during a routine check by staff. An email from the West Virginia Division of Corrections indicated they and state police are investigating and that the DOC is committed to the safety, quality of life, and well-being of those in the care of the legal system. A protest Friday at the state capitol, organized by the Poor People's Party, claimed that is not the case far too often. Most of the attention has been focused on the Southern Regional Jail near Beckley, where there have been 14 inmate deaths in less than 2 years. But the South Central Regional Jail has also had some problems. The Friday Capitol protest included a woman who claimed she was beaten and abused at South Central, and another who claimed her brother, inmate James Miller, did not get timely medical care before his trespassing charge turned into a death sentence.
This is a petition to Governor Justice and Senator Manchin. We need the governor and Senator Manchin to join with us in filing for a full, independent, objective, federal civil rights investigation.
The deaths are yet another major issue for the jail system, along with widespread staffing shortages. In Charleston, Bob Aaron, Eyewitness News.
Thank you, Bob. And we again reached out to federal officials for the status of their probe of deaths at the Southern Regional Jail. We are still waiting for a response.
Tonight, an Eyewitness News investigation. Are West Virginia regional jails subject?
All right. Jane Weaver, good to see you. Welcome. Have you heard any stories from Colorado about a certain area of that state? that had this many deaths in a jail, and the entire apparatus is assuring you they'll get to the bottom of it. Federal, we'll get to the bottom of it. State, we'll get to the bottom of it. There's an investigation. We can't speak about it. All right. Well, give me a state that you, of the 57 states, give me a state that you think, and don't give me one of them erroneous the 56th state, because they're new. Don't give me that new state. Give me one of the old states, like West Virginia. See you, Howard Clegg. Thank you for coming, man. Okay, here we go.
This time, a former inmate and her attorney claim poor medical care in the jail led to a serious injury in immediate need of a treatment. Left without that treatment, the inmate says she was forced to plead guilty to 2 felonies. Now she's demanding those crimes be removed from her record. 59 News reporter Jessica Farish is live in our newsroom. Jessica, what have you been finding out today in this case?
Jessica, I'm holding in my hand medical records provided to 59 News. These records show former inmate Paula Matney's doctors at Raleigh General Hospital diagnosed her with cellulitis and a serious bacterial infection in her left ankle last April. Former inmate at Southern Regional Jail, Paula Matney, says she became seriously ill while serving a pretrial sentence at the jail, forcing her to enter a plea deal she now wants removed from her record. Matney says she was healthy when she entered the jail in March 2022 with only a small scratch on her foot. But Matney alleges when she was at the jail, nurses didn't give her blood pressure medication regularly and didn't properly monitor her blood pressure. She says the small scratch turned into a serious infection. Matney says she only saw a doctor after she became ill.
I asked him to look at my leg. There's something wrong with my leg. And the doctor told me that I just needed to clean it with water. And I was like, I don't even have water in my cell. And he said that he squirted it with saline solution out of a bottle and gave me a Band-Aid.
Matney says she was hospitalized within days of leaving Southern Regional Jail and learned she had a serious and contagious infection. She says doctors were forced to cut her flesh to the bone and told her she was in danger of losing her foot. But Matney says she was forced to return to Southern Regional Jail when she had no options for home confinement. She tells us the threat of losing her foot coerced her into pleading guilty to 2 felonies.
My right to fight for my freedom to start with was impeded because of the medical. I would have never pled to those 2 charges. I would have not have it was my very first felony. I've never had a clean record, and I would have never pled to those if I hadn't been in the conditions I was in.
Matney's attorney, Robert Dunlap, says Matney believed if she rejected the plea agreement, the jail medical care would cause serious harm to her. He says his office is aware of hundreds of complaints similar to Matney's.
Now that we're seeing folks actively not receiving their medications, too many folks have come forward that weren't getting medical treatment. And as a result, they may be able, after they're released from incarceration, to seek relief from the court.
Matney's attorney, Robert Dunlap, filed a class action suit against Southern Regional Jail on behalf of inmates and former guards. He says Matney may have options for challenging her convictions. West Virginia Department of Homeland Security officials have not yet offered comment on Matney's allegations. Reporting live from the newsroom, Jessica Farish, 59 News.
Tonight, an Eyewitness News investigation. Our West Virginia Regional Jail
Pretty brutal, man. They're running the full gamut down there at the Southern Regional Jail. Beating murders, fucking leg fucking infections, and anal. I mean, we haven't gotten there yet. I'm sure there has been a few of them. Drug overdoses on the male side and the female side at the same time. Go figure. How is it possible that you have a completely separate part of the fucking jail? And you have an inmate male die of overdose and a female die of overdose at the same time, without having somebody on the inside giving it to him. Flesh eating bacteria. That's right. And she didn't even have any water in her jail cell. Oof. Okay, what state do you think is worse? Give me your opinion. I'm sticking with West Virginia. 3 months ago.
Also tonight, 2 correctional officers at West Virginia Southern Regional Jail are charged in connection with an assault of an inmate who later died.
Danielle Burbank spoke exclusively with a former correctional officer who says something needs to change because they're understaffed and threatened with retaliation for speaking out. Daniel?
Gina, Dave, according to these documents, Andrew Fleshman and Stephen Weimer were charged in connection with the death of Quantez Burks at Southern Regional Jail in 2022. Now, this comes after activist calls for a federal probe in the regional jail system.
We was told just to suck it up, it would get better.
This is the voice of a former correctional officer who says they used to work at Southern Regional Jail. We will be using the alias Justin to identify them. We're hiding your voice. What do you fear could happen if they figured out it was you?
I feel like they'll know who I am and send a hit out on me.
Justin says he worked at the jail for years and knew Andrew Fleshman and Stephen Nicholas Weimer, but was not there the day the 37-year-old Quantez Burks died. Federal court documents say Burks was allegedly physically assaulted by Fleshman and Weimer as retaliation for attempts to push past another correctional officer.
Not only was the inmates getting mistreated, and it was a lot of the officers.
A spokesperson for the West Virginia Department of Homeland Security released a statement to Eyewitness News. Please refer your questions to the U.S. Attorney's Office or the FBI. We are, of course, fully cooperating with those agencies in this matter. Now, these 2 correctional officers charged comes just weeks after another lawsuit alleges that 10,000 West Virginia inmates are in inhumane conditions. Beckley attorney Stephen New told Eyewitness News earlier this month some of the strongest evidence comes from the testimony of corrections officials or from photographs they provided.
The deferred maintenance was $200 million when Jeff Sandy became cabinet secretary. It was $277 million when he left. So I would beg to differ as to whether or not the state of West Virginia is in fact working on these issues.
The criminal complaint alleges the 2 men were attacking Burks while he was restrained. Burks' mother told Eyewitness News earlier this year her son died from blunt force trauma. Court documents say both men are expected to plead guilty at a future hearing. Live in the studio, Daniel Burbank, Eyewitness News.
Thanks so much for watching. Here's another video from Eyewitness News.
And ding, 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 ding. I have been waiting and waiting and waiting for one of my audience members to speak up. And go figure, it's Joe Black. Is that reporter trespassing Ricky Bobby Sue Jones? Miss Puckett Puckett, prosecutor. Was that reporter trespassing? Very, very good. Joe Black, you went a week in the bunkhole. Free. You can even visit Puff Dog as many times as you want. Steve, what do you think about this so far, buddy? Pretty bad shit, huh? So, again, the level of cover-up, the level of corruption at the state trooper level, to the governor with his puppy pooch, the bulldog that he takes everywhere with him. Of course, the bulldog still has his balls because the governor likes to play with them. Sick fucker, I'm telling you. He takes them everywhere. He picks them up and puts them right there on a chair next to him, right, Steve? These motherfuckers are dirty in that state. Through and fucking through. I've never seen anything like it. And you wonder why, counselor, Ms. Bucket Puckett. I was down there in Welsh, West Virginia, filming a prison, multiple prisons that day. But you know what? You never gave me that fucking footage, did you? From my GoPro, from my fucking phone. No, we can't let them have that. Well, I finally got it from Trooper Jones at trial. And I showed that audit. I showed that piece of investigative journalism. And he was cool. The lieutenant was cool at that jail. Stevens Correction Center, I think it was called. But you, Ricky Bobby Sue Jones, had to fucking be a fucking alpha bull when you're a fucking little dinky one. You ain't even got your horns yet, brother. Now we're going to have to castrate you. Sorry, you're no good for fucking breeding. We're going to have to fucking, eventually chop you up for fucking dog meat, right? Yeah. Feed it to them canines. Feed you to them canines. You're done, man. Your history. Ms. Puckett, you rested your laurels on the wrong man. But anyhow, West Virginia. West Virginia, West Virginia's pretty bad. Do you have a state that is worse, as have I shown you today? There we go. I'm going to convince you one way or the other. 3 months ago.
And reaction tonight from the family of a man who died in the Southern Regional Jail on 2 former correctional officers being charged federally in connection with a jailhouse beating administered while Quantez Burks was handcuffed.
Eyewitness News reporter Bob Aaron tells us they're still accusing state officials of a cover-up in the March 2022 death, but are finding some closure in the now expected guilty pleas from both the men.
The family of a Southern Regional Jail inmate who's less than a day behind bars awaiting trial, apparently turned into a death sentence, says they are finally seeing some closure. Federal conspiracy charges have been filed against 2 former corrections officers expected to plead guilty in connection with the March 2022 death of Quantez Burks. The federal information charging Stephen Wimmer and Andrew Fleshman with conspiracy indicates the 37-year-old Burks was assaulted by multiple correctional officers while handcuffed and not a threat to anyone. Kimberly Burks, his mother, had a second autopsy performed that she says shows he was apparently beaten to death while handcuffed.
These 2 people that have been charged will no doubt start folding on the other people, and we'll eventually find out what happened to my son.
Think this goes fairly high up or not?
I think it goes way high up. I think it's a conspiracy within all of them because it's just so much covering up. Jim Justice has yet to acknowledge anything has happened.
Court documents indicate her son was being punished for trying to push past a guard earlier. Corrections in the state are also dealing with a separate $330 million lawsuit over alleged inhumane treatment of inmates.
He walked in and got carried out in a body bag. Yes. And
what's wrong?
That's not right.
The victim's family says that without the involvement of the federal government, the case probably would have never been solved. State officials will only say that this is an ongoing federal investigation and they can't comment. In Beckley, Bob Aaron, Eyewitness News.
Thank you, Bob. And an information plea means a defendant has given up his right to be indicted first by a grand jury and usually implies cooperation. The U.S. Attorney has requested the court schedule guilty plea hearings for both Weimer and Fleshman. Thanks so much for watching. Here's another video from Eyewitness News.
Right.
Just click right here to subscribe.
So now we have a couple guards that pled guilty or going to plead guilty to these charges. Isn't it funny how it dribs and drabs over a couple years? 3 years, 2 years, 7 years. I've taken you through a journey 7 years ago. West Virginia regional jails, specifically Southern Regional. And there could not be any possible reasons why an investigative journalist, member of the press like me, would be down in that area. No, not filming jails or anything. I mean, you go into a jail in West Virginia, you have a much higher chance of walking out dead, as they say, than the average population in Chicago or L.A. or any of these other crime-riddled, festering shitholes in this country. You in West Virginia have a greater chance, I can guarantee it by far, to end up dead than the average citizen by far in a crime-riddled city. Bet. Can your state claim that? Are there any statistics towards this? I would like to find out. That would be interesting. Probably do that research. But I'm in the middle of defending myself against these fucking same people that have covered it all up to begin with. From the magistrates, from the cops to the prosecutors to the magistrates on up. They're all in on it down there in West Virginia. You don't have a fucking chance down there. They'll come and they'll get you and they'll teach you. They'll learn you. Is that happening in your state? Give me a state that's worse. Please give me a state that's worse. But hey, 3 months ago, here we go.
Tonight, 2 correctional officers face criminal charges in connection to his death. A spokesperson for the West Virginia Poor People's Campaign tells 59 News reporter Jessica Farish they have questions for the West Virginia Medical Examiner's Office.
Criminal complaints obtained by 59 News show Southern Regional Jail corrections officers Stephen Nicholas Wimmer and Andrew Fleshman are facing criminal charges in United States District Court of Southern West Virginia. The charges are in connection to an alleged conspiracy in the death of Quantez Burks. Burks was waiting on bail when an unnamed number of guards allegedly handcuffed him and transported him to 2 parts of the jail in order to beat him. The West Virginia Medical Examiner's Office ruled Burks died a natural death while at Southern Regional Jail, despite photographs showing extreme bruising all over his body. A private autopsy noted blunt force trauma throughout Burks' body and ruled he likely died of a heart attack. A spokesperson for the West Virginia Poor People's Campaign, which is calling for accountability in state jails, says the state medical examiner owes everyone an explanation.
We are still in this fight. You know, we still have steps to take, and that's one of the steps is holding accountability. We believe that the medical examiner should be held accountable.
A spokesperson for the West Virginia Medical Examiner's Office declined to comment on whether the office could have made similar findings in other inmate deaths. Reporting in Beckley, Jessica Farish, 59 News.
Tonight, an Eyewitness News investigation. Our West
All right. Goes deep, doesn't it, down there in West Virginia? Natural death, heart attack. Yeah. He had some buildup in his arteries. That's what he had. Don't worry about them broken wrists, broken arm, broken leg. Contusions, all the bruises all over his body. You know what happened there? When he had his heart attack, he fell down off of his bunk, rolled around, hit his head on the commode. That's a steel. The commodes are steel. Remember that. They're stainless steel. He tried to get up and banged his head on the fucking sink, which is stainless steel. Cut a gash right in the back of his head. Then he tried to get up. He was in a daze, and he fell up against the door just as the guard opened it up and threw him back onto the bed. And then, see, we could go on and on and on and how Rube Goldberg this can get. Interesting concept, the Rube Goldberg device on how to kill, how to have a natural death in jail. Excited delirium. Yes, Cajun Randy. Excited delirium. Did it. Pay no attention to them beatings behind the curtain. No. He had cardiovascular problems. That's what did it. He fell off his rack while having a heart attack. You know? Damn. Okay, well, guess what happened? 6 days ago? What happened? Let me hear.
A culture of cover-ups kicked in when inmate Quantes Burks died after being beaten by correctional officers at the Southern Regional Jail last year. Bob Aaron has the story tonight.
U.S. Attorney Will Thompson says while there's no indication as of now that a cover-up went beyond the 8 Southern Regional Jail correctional officers charged in connection with the jailhouse death of inmate Quantes Burks in March 2022, the lockup had a disturbing culture.
There was a culture there. I mean, we've got 8 people facing federal felonies as a result of this, 2 of which have already pled. It went, from at least the leadership within the jail all the way down to the guards themselves, having some type of culture of wanting to keep the truth away from the public.
Burks' family suspected a bigger cover-up after it took a private autopsy to show Burks was apparently beaten to death while handcuffed.
I still stand on what I said from my very first interview, that people would be held accountable for what they did.
The civil rights case against ex-jail guards Mark Holdren, Corey Snyder, and Jonathan Wallers alleges they beat and handcuffed Burks while Jacob Booth and Ashley Toney failed to intervene in the unlawful assault. All 5 correctional officers, as well as former Lieutenant Chad Lester, were also charged for covering up the use of unlawful force. 2 other former COs, Steve Wimmer and Andrew Fleshman, have already pled guilty to conspiring to violate the 37-year-old inmate's civil rights and face up to 10 years in prison. For 5 of these defendants, this is effectively a federal murder trial with a potential maximum penalty of life in prison.
It's a civil rights violation, and it will essentially, be treated as a murder by the courts or a death, an unlawful death by the courts. Because he had the right, of course, to be treated humanely while he was incarcerated, and being beaten to death is certainly not being treated humanely.
Recently appointed Homeland Security Secretary Mark Sorcea claims state officials alerted federal authorities to this matter and have no tolerance for abuse of any kind. In Charleston, Bob Aaron, Eyewitness News.
And several of those defendants are due back in Beckley Federal Court December 5th to face those charges.
We have more great Eyewitness News investigates right here. Subscribe and hit the bell notification to have the...
Bob has balls. Bob is doing a good job. Finally, the press, I think they had to, they were begrudgingly pulled along because it's so in your face. You can't deny 14 dead motherfuckers in a little over a year, right? So somebody had to go out there and put their life on the line, and Bob did. By filming outside of a jail. I wonder how many times the fucking guards came out to him. Bob, you know what Bob did? Bob said, fuck you. That's what Bob did. Can guarantee it. What do you think? Bob said, fuck you. Get away from me. I'm reporting. Right? They left him alone. He was not in any fear of going inside the jail that he's reporting on. Hell no. Bob will take the beatings. Bob will walk out dead, as I said before. Bob is dedicated. Good job, Bob. All right. Well, one more, and here we go. This is why. Okay, I got to say something first. Steve, you've been in jail, right? You've been in jail a lot. Oh, Dweeb's in jail right now. Steve, you been in jail? Yeah. You've been in jail a lot. Do you remember not having any water? Yeah, you do? Yeah. You remember the sink wouldn't work. That's why you didn't have any water, yeah? Yeah, right. You're shaking your head, Steve. You remember the commode? It was all plugged up all the time? You remember that? Stunk to high heaven. Remember that, Steve? Yeah? Okay, well, we're in agreement. What is it like in West Virginia jails? I wonder. Let's look.
Video deposition obtained by Eyewitness News show how former top jail administrators under West Virginia Governor Jim Justice have struggled to deal with dire conditions at the state's correctional facilities. The depositions are being used as evidence in a federal injunction that claims mounting repairs needs of the facilities estimated at more than $200 million and an alarming number of correctional officer shortages that were ignored over the years by the governor and legislature.
The lawsuit is the deepest look we've gotten of just how bad things could be at the Southern Regional Jail and beyond. On Monday, attorneys representing current and former SRJ inmates are going before a federal magistrate to argue that the state has been destroying evidence in their investigation. Now we're getting a first-hand look at the scope of the problems inside the facility that saw 13 inmates die just last year. At the Southern Regional Jail in Raleigh County are documented instances of no water in cells.
Cell 1, sink doesn't work.
To toilets that won't flush.
Cell 16, toilet doesn't flush.
Mold-infested areas, unsanitary conditions, and allegations of basic human needs like medical care and food being withheld from inmates.
It was just a powder keg at the Southern Regional Jail for the longest time.
Beckley attorney Stephen New is representing current and former inmates at the Southern Regional Jail in a class action lawsuit focusing on conditions inside the facility.
This isn't being soft on crime. The 8th Amendment to the United States Constitution and the West Virginia Constitution talk about cruel and unusual punishment, and there's lots of case law about where the line gets crossed from this is jail and it was not designed to be a comfortable situation to the point where it does get unconstitutional. I believe we crossed that line in West Virginia a long time ago.
New is also filing a federal injunction against Governor Jim Justice and others. He wants to force the state to do $270 million in deferred maintenance and spend at least $60 million to fill vacancies. Corrections officials echoing the same sentiment in recent deposition videos obtained by Eyewitness News that the governor and legislature have repeatedly been told about the dire conditions and needs that have gone unmet and unfunded for years.
Prior to every legislative session, we have meetings with the budget office. We provide them with our needs. Our needs were clearly articulated along with all other Homeland Security agencies. They're advised of that. We transparent, we tell them.
Did you ask the question, how did we get here? How did we get to $200 million of deferred maintenance?
I'm sure that everybody asks that question, and the answer was we depend on the money that's allotted to us. Every year there's a certain amount that is allotted for maintenance. but it doesn't touch what the overarching bill is.
Former Corrections Commissioner Betsy Jividen said she was pressured to resign in July 2022 over the death of a family member of one of the governor's cabinet secretaries.
Who gave you word that the governor wanted you gone?
Jeff Sandy.
And why did the governor want you gone?
I can tell you what Jeff Sandy told me.
Okay, do that.
Jeff Sandy told me that Brian Abraham was upset about Secretary Riston's nephew dying in the hospital after being incarcerated at Southern, and that he had gone to the governor, and that's when the governor had asked for my resignation.
Who is Secretary Riston?
Secretary of Transportation.
In his testimony, Sandy denied it happened, and Jividen said she'd been debating stepping down before that incident out of sheer frustration.
Not being able to get the pay raises, not being able to do the maintenance. It was very frustrating.
The deposition's also painting a questionable picture of an investigation ordered by Justice into the Southern Regional Jail in March 2022. Sandy, who was State Homeland Security Cabinet Secretary at the time, said he was ordered to go to the facility by Justice Chief of Staff Brian Abraham.
Why did the governor order this investigation?
Because of all the negative media that was out there concerning Southern Regional Jail.
Allegations in the press that inmates were drinking out of toilets, not being given toilet paper, and sleeping on bare floors.
Those were the main things that they were interested in, was water, toilet paper, and mattresses.
Less than a month before Sandy's visit, 37-year-old Quantez Burks died in custody after being at the Southern Regional Jail for less than 48 hours. The state said he died of natural causes, but a private autopsy proved otherwise.
He walked in and got carried out in a body bag, and it's not right.
2 corrections officers are set to plead guilty in November after federal investigators say Burks was beaten as punishment while restrained.
I was very upset by that. I reviewed the videos myself. I read the reports. I worked on the report. I spent a lot of time going over that. I recommended that an expert be hired to look at that use of force. Several people lost their jobs.
None of that was part of the investigation Sandy was ordered to conduct. Nothing about staffing, overcrowding, a growing number of inmate deaths, or anything other than water, toilet paper, and mattresses. Sandy said he only personally talked to 3 inmates who were handpicked by jail leaders and several COs. 10 more inmates were interviewed by another investigator a week later. He said he didn't step foot inside a cell, didn't check sinks, showers, or toilets.
Did not go into any pod, did not go into any cell. I went to the observation area and looked down on multiple pods.
Test the water from there?
Did not test the water from there, sir.
Sandy said he hadn't been told about a walkthrough and documentation of the shape of the jail just a few months prior, when these videos and pictures were taken by a lieutenant.
No means of working communication from cell to tower. So after lockdown, they'd have to beat on the doors.
But later he testified he wished he had. About a month later, the governor's office published Sandy's 14-page report, concluding nothing was wrong at the jail. They called the allegations made in the news simply not true.
It is correct, sir. I stand by the report.
While the lawsuit cites inaction by the Justice Administration, the governor declared a state of emergency over staffing at West Virginia jails more than a year ago and called in the National Guard to help.
We have been dealing with this situation for too long. Way too long.
A month ago, Justice signed several bills meant to prop up the decaying facilities that have a roughly 30% overall vacancy rate. His new Department of Homeland Security Cabinet Secretary and Corrections Commissioner stood beside him.
Now we're on a pathway of making things better for a lot of folks that are here. But not only that, we're on a pathway to hopefully be able to have adequate staffing to where everybody can do their job safely and do their job correctly and do their job humanely in every way.
New thinks the new legislation is simply too little, too late.
Within the Justice Administration, they have the ability to fix a lot of these issues, especially when a state's sitting on a $1.8 billion budget surplus.
Believing it's an issue every West Virginian should be concerned about.
It's the person that gets picked up on a Friday night for a DUI. It's the person who shoplifts $37 at the dollar store or something, who finds themselves in a regional jail. They're in there with the rapists or the sexual predators or the murderers, and if that were someone's family member, they'd want them to be as safe as they could be for as long as they can be in the most humane conditions possible.
We've reached out to Governor Justice's top administration for comment, and Chief of Staff Brian Abraham has agreed to sit down with me early next week. As for the separate federal investigation into the facility that led to the charges against the 2 correctional officers for the death of Quantez Burks, it's still ongoing. Reporting in the studio, Leslie Rubin, Eyewitness News.
All right. Now, Paget, I'm sorry I have ignored you. I keep on seeing you, but then I keep on thinking of something else to say. And instead of saying, hello, Paget, I've seen you, and Indiana is the worst of them all, she says. No, she says Indiana seems to, be pretty bad. Caterpillar. Good to see you. Okay. Now, Governor, let me tell you something, you fat bastard. And I could say that because I'm a fat bastard too. But maybe you should put somebody else in that chair next to you that knows something about fucking something than your dog. What a pathetic little fucking piece of shit gimmick you are trying to perpetuate on people that are terrified of you and your fucking staff and your state police and your federal entwinement. Who the fuck are you, Mr. Dictator, to implement and put National Guard into the fucking prisons? Did you turn all of West Virginia into a prison, a Guantanamo Bay style of fucking incarceration, dickhead? Oh, what a wonderful idea. Don't fucking solve the problem the proper way. Just call in the army with their guns and their bombs and their tanks and their helicopters and their rifles. Does that sound about right, Governor? While his dog can't even get himself up in the fucking chair himself. Fat bastard has to fucking lift him. People call fucking Christie over there in fucking New Jersey. Bad bastard. Look at this cocksucker. Billionaire. Jim Justice. Cover up. West Virginia is nothing but a huge cover up. From the state police on down. So let me ask you. Ms. Fucking Puckett. Could there possibly be a legitimate reason why a person that over and over and over told your trooper that he was a investigative journalist, a member of the press. And then I was doing a story on that prison, amongst other prisons. But I didn't tell him that one. He didn't need to know. Could it have possibly been over a year ago that something was fucking burning down there? Probably on fire. I smell it. And you want to take me to fucking trial? Good fucking luck. Almost 2 years. Well, a year and 7 months. You had drone footage, but you didn't have drone footage. Delay after delay after delay. For why? For what? And then I get 2 separate fucking copies of your fucking discovery from 2 different people. And they're different. They aren't the same. It would be different if your discovery was the same. Then I say nobody fucked with anything. But that ain't the case. So, Miss Puckett, do you want to just say fuck it? Give it up. That's why I call you fucking Puckett. Fuck it. Give it up. Give it up. Miss Puckett, give it up. It's not worth your career. It's not worth your reputation. This trooper's a bad dude. He's been doing it a long time. And he smiles and he acts all nice and all of that. No, he ain't nice. None of them state troopers down there are nice. Not one of them. And that ain't just me saying it. That's them proving it. So there needs to be a big fucking change down there in West Virginia. And as soon as I get done beating you in court, I ain't never stepping in that fucking state again. Sorry. Paget, Indiana, I don't know. Maybe I might move to Indiana, right? It's less likely in Indiana that you get killed, I'm sure, by the cops or their guards. All right, Steve, that was pretty gruesome, wasn't it? Sorry it had to. What's that? You said you want. Oh, I'm sorry, Steve. Don't get off camera, and I'll give you a hit. Okay? Get off camera. Oh, there. Here, take a hit of this, Steve. I know. There you go, Steve. Does that feel better? I know. The anxiety's kicking in, huh? Here, give me a hit of that. Here, give me that bump. Give me that, Steve. Oh, thanks, Steve. Thanks, Steve. Yeah, anytime, man. All right, Barry. Where's Barry? Barry, hold down the fort, okay? Don't be beating up on the prisoners. I know, Barry, you're a pretty easygoing guy. All you do is just dance and make sure that everybody has water and food. That's why me and Steve are here. Just to keep an eye on you, Barry. Yeah. All right. We're out of here. We're going back. See you later, Steve. See you next time. All right. Let's get rid of the logo. Where's the logo? The logo. See ya. We're going back to the living room. That's pretty crazy, right? Where's my fish? Whenever you see the fish mopping up all them freaking squirrel turds. Whenever you see the mopping fish, it's the end of the night. I thank you very much, Joe Black, Paget, Caterpillar, Man, let me go up the list. Let me go up the list. Creole, Cajun Randy, Joe Black, John D. Nicola, Nat. How can I forget Nat? Chain Weaver, good to see you, Chain Weaver. Finally caught me. The Tribe, good to see you. And I don't know if MS-11 is still in here, but I know what's going on down there in West Virginia. I'll give you a call later, or not tonight, but I'll give you a call tomorrow. Deep Throat, that's my Deep Throat right there. Not literally, but, he tells me a lot of things about you people down there, especially in the judicial system. Miss Puckett? Yes? My Deep Throat knows you, and to prove my point, Miss Puckett, weren't you on the board, the attorney on the board for that property over there, the prison? Weren't you the advising attorney on getting all that worked out with the federal government and the county and all of that? Yeah. You know how all these counties have their boards of development, redevelopment, and all that good shit? Yeah. Yeah. So you're pretty intimate. You have pretty intimate knowledge of that property, Miss Puckett, as I understand. Oregon Road, good to see you. So you should know better, Miss Puckett. John D. Nicola, I'm going up. Israelite, Nephite. He was in here, she was in here. Talking politics. And I understand, I get it. Joko, KS, when did you come in? You came in early and I missed you. I am so sorry. Howard Clegg was first in here, and Gary Hale. Sewer Dog, the Patriot, was in here early too. I hope he hung in here. So, hey, it's the end of the night. Thank you very much, and I'll see you the next time.